Hey guys, so we're in quarantine and movies keep getting delayed and it sucks. So I want to recommend movies that you can watch on streaming services. So how I want to do is right now I'm going to do a video on Netflix, then Hulu, then Amazon Prime Video, and then Criterion Channel. And to not make this video too long, I'm going to do probably around 10 recommendations or less per streaming service. Or really just however many the fuck I want to do. This is a film that I found out just a couple weeks ago, and I've been watching it on repeat since. This is an LGBT film about a woman feeling confused about the current state of her relationship with her husband, who's constantly on business trips and not making an effort to spend time with her and the family. Her friend comes to visit, and they start to realize they've had deep feelings for each other all along. This is a film that's quickly becoming a new favorite of mine. It's a movie that seems quiet on the surface, but after multiple rewatches, you start to realize how loud and powerful it actually is. The horror of the film is just everywhere. I want to live inside every frame. This is a film about wanting more than what life already gave you, and that elated feeling you get when you finally realize what you want and easily grab it. You very much buy the chemistry between Riley Keough and Jenna Malone. The simple feeling of love and ease they feel just by something as simple as staring at each other is some of the most beautiful aspects of visual storytelling you will ever see. It's a powerful yet calming film, and I can't recommend it enough. The Edge of 17 is a film that's meant a lot to me for a long time. From countless rewatches, I have yet to become bored watching this. In fact, there are scenes that I keep rewatching, they're that effective. I just think this is a beautifully written film that not only is very heartfelt and honest, but genuinely hilarious. The comedic timing here is near perfect, as the way these characters banter with each other feels very unscripted in a good way. It feels like these people genuinely have had an effect on one another in real life, and it gets to a point where the relatability just skyrockets. Again, in a good way. You truly feel for these characters, as each one has a burden of their own to carry, and the way they react to certain situations had me going like, I would say they're being overly dramatic, but honestly, if I were in that situation, I probably would have done or said the exact same thing. Hailee Steinfeld in this movie continues to prove that she's one of the most talented actresses we have working right now, and the scenes with her and Woody Harrelson make the movie. Also, this is my introduction to Haley Lou Richardson, who has since become my celebrity crush. She's great as always. Mike Birbiglia is not only one of my favorite comedians, but also one of my favorite up-and-coming directors/writers. If you haven't seen Sleepwalk with Me, I recommend that too, but don't think twice, I think it's his absolute best. Each character is developed in their own way that makes them all so likable, but also very relatable. It's clear that even though they're very cheery people, they have very deep problems of their own, but they always find a way to pick themselves back up and continue being there for each other, even if one is starting to become more successful than the others. I find that to be very inspiring. The friendship here feels very real, and I could spend hours with this movie. One of my new favorite movies. It's beautiful in the most unique way. The connection between David Foster Wallace and David Lipsky is enthralling. You truly feel like you're joining in on the conversation with them. And it's not even just the interview that's fascinating, but the smallest of things that play such an important role here. For example, the conversation could be about one thing and then the topic would immediately change without warning, but it never felt out of place. I also love how the movie talks about depression and anxiety. It was very effective, and how they would react to that kind of topic was heartbreaking. That's all I'll really say about it. I want you to just put this movie on and let it wash over you. It's also a very hard movie to review because it's just 2 hours of two people talking, but trust me, it is one of the least boring movies out there. and it's one of my favorite scripts ever. One of the more underrated movies on this list. The writing in this movie is absolutely top-notch, and what's even more interesting is that these characters express their personality more through their music. The anger through these songs shines through, but you know they still love each other. Just because they argue doesn't mean they don't love each other. It doesn't make you choose a side. Each side is both understandable, and the way they show their frustration through their music was very clever. Also, I haven't laughed this hard in a long time. Zoe Lister-Jones, Adam Pally, and especially Fred Armisen all have perfect comedic timing, and it's clear they're just having a blast doing this. I talked about this in my 2018 list, so I'll just repeat it here because I like what I said and I don't really know what else to add. This is a movie that's incredibly special to me. The emotional merit this film carries brings out its true beauty. It's a story of childhood innocence and a child trying to figure out his place in the world, but it's a very quiet and somewhat isolated film. And the way this is filmed feels like you're actually looking at the point of view of a child. Every color stands out. It has a very grainy look to it. It gives a point of view of the main child's imagined world with little animated segments in between. It's just things like that that make weedy animals feel so beautiful and authentic. The child performances are probably the best I've ever seen, and for a film that's pretty much plotless, it had me hooked from beginning to end. A horror movie that isn't scares per minute, but is still effective as hell. The whole tone and atmosphere of The Witch is terrifying. I'm still trying to figure out how Robert Eggers pulled off this atmosphere as well as he did. The natural lighting and cinematography give the movie such a creepy vibe. You always feel an evil presence within this movie every second the movie goes on, but it never jumps out at you. It never reminds you that it exists. You never know how this witch is possessing this family. And I think that's the most unsettling aspect of it. I love it when movies don't hold your hand and they just throw you into this insanity and you just have to figure out for yourself what's going on. Eggers did that again with The Lighthouse, which I think is a better movie than The Witch, so I can safely say he's a master at that. The darkness and silence of this movie engages me every time and never fails to get under my skin. The Witch is just a movie that sucks me in every time and always gets my heart pounding. Okay, this may be my favorite Will Ferrell movie that's not Anchorman. The Other Guys, to me, is so fucking hilarious and remains one of the most quotable movies for me. Sure, the last act is not funny at all, but very rarely does a joke fall flat, at least for me. This movie is just exactly my humor. I remember seeing this in the theater when it first came out, and there was one scene involving Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock where I was laughing so hard my friend told me to shut up. The scene to this day still makes me piss myself laughing, and if it isn't that scene, then it's like 5 other scenes after it. It's such a stupid movie, but for me it works. Worst review ever, moving on.
If I were a lion and you were a tuna, I would swim out in the middle of the ocean and freaking eat you! And then I'd bang your tuna girlfriend.
Okay, first off, a lion swimming in the ocean? Lions don't like water. If you'd placed it near a river or some sort of fresh water source, that makes sense. But you find yourself in the ocean, 20-foot waves, I'm assuming it's off the coast of South Africa, coming up against a full-grown 800-pound tuna with his 20 or 30 friends, you lose that battle. You lose that battle 9 times out of 10. And guess what? You've wandered into our school of tuna, and we now have a taste of lion. We've talked to ourselves. We've communicated and said, you know what? Lion tastes good. Let's go get some more lion. We've developed a system to establish a beachhead and aggressively hunt you and your family. And we will corner your pride, your children, your offspring.
How are you going to do that?
We will construct a series of breathing apparatus with kelp. We will be able to trap certain amounts of oxygen. It's not going to be days at a time, but an hour, hour 45, no problem. That will give us enough time to figure out where you live, go back to the sea, get more oxygen, and then stalk you. You just lost your own game. You're outgunned and outmanned. Did that go the way you thought it was going to go? Nope.
Another one of my favorite comedies. This shit is really goofy. Like, goofier than both Goofy movies combined. Did I just compare the Goofy movies to a thought-provoking A24 movie? Anyway, this is also probably the weirdest movie you'll ever watch, but that's the beauty of it. I don't want to say too much about it if you know nothing about it, so just watch this one blind and let it wash over you. Wow, another one of my worst reviews ever. Alright, time to talk about two really awesome TV shows on Netflix. This is a sketch comedy show by Tim Robinson, who was originally on Saturday Night Live, and this shit is the best thing ever. Like, I started season 1 with my friend via Netflix party, and we binged the whole season. I don't think a show has made me laugh this hard in so long. This is one of the most unpredictable and insane sketch shows you will ever watch. The sketches will start one way and then you expect a certain tone, but then the rug just gets pulled from under your feet. Every sketch has such a memorable and quotable moment that, honestly, I can't see anyone not liking this. This is seriously one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and it will for sure put anybody in a good mood. Yeah, this show still deserves all the hype it can get. It hooked me all the way through. The way the story is presented brings so much intensity and realism. You feel so angry while watching it. But what I love the most about this show is that everyone is so fleshed out and understandable. They don't try to villainize anybody except for the rapist, because everyone knows that that's really who's to blame here. Caitlin Dever is insanely phenomenal, and I'm still upset she didn't win the Golden Globe. She's such a talented young actress, and the way she's able to portray someone who is clearly traumatized was so authentic and heartbreaking. I forgot I was watching an actress act. She holds so much back and presents the most realistic depiction of isolation and trauma I may have ever seen. Weaver and Colette also deserve praise for bringing so much anger and determination in this show. It's iconic. I also love the look of the show. It's so bleak and gross, fitting the perspective of someone who is clearly traumatized. Please check this out when you can. It's an amazing show, and it deserves everything. Support this, and of course, believe survivors. And that's it. I hope you take these all into consideration, and I'll have my Hulu video up pretty soon.